you also are developing the names of God like forgiveness, repentance, acceptor of repentance, or compassion, mercy, and you're angry towards yourself. So the divine names are 99, and they're divided between those that are names of beauty and those that are names of majesty. The names of majesty, like vengeance and anger and so forth, are the ones that you orient towards yourself for having constantly, said so and so to something, said something to so and so, and committed some kind of vice like jealousy or anger or lust or whatever it happened to have been. So you replace it with the most beautiful names, which is the third volume of the series called God's Will Be Done. Now, so all of this is, sometimes it takes a whole lifetime, and this is the greater jihad. This is within the Islamic tradition, because you're trying to develop yourself into a better person. So you have to use reason over yourself, and it's called self-talk, or you can also call it the ABC of the self, the affect, behavior, and cognition of the self. And certainly the modern world has developed excellent techniques for, cognitive awareness, or being aware of your behavior and changing it, or, being aware of your affect and your emotion and trying to become a better person and so forth. But it's all based on reasoning with the passions, constantly talking to yourself or listening to other people giving you advice and so forth and so on. But what Rumi says is, once somebody has declared that you're a fair and just person, and you see that you actually did make a fair and just decision, then you're at the 0 point in that circle, and now you're ready to enter into the world of intuition. So all of this was the logical and rational world. Then you enter through the center point of the Sufi Enneagram circle into the world of intuition. And Rumi says, if you take reason with you into that world of intuition, it's like taking a candle into the noonday desert sun. It's totally useless. So you have to, after you struggle so hard to learn how to reason with yourself, you have to let go of reasoning in order to enter into the world of intuition. So that's basically a summary of the Sufi Enneagram.
That was very clear. The Sufi Order, the International Sufi Order of North America, is that contextually similar to what you're describing?
No, none of the, as far as I know, none of the present-day Sufi orders actually use this technique. It had originally been part of the Naqshbandi Sufis in Central Asia, when Gurdjieff had discovered it, but even they themselves have lost connection to it. So nobody is really using it in the Sufi circles.
So the Sufi Enneagram is like the mystical tradition and the ethical tradition?
Yes, it's because Sufism is in 3 stages. So the first stage is this. First and second stages basically are moral healing. The first one is when you work on yourself, and that's called Morua. And the second one is Futua, where you actually join in with people while you're still working on yourself, hoping that you can help them, and then by that way make yourself into a better person. And then the third stage is called Waliya, which is sainthood. So the first 2 stages are deal with moral healing, and the third stage then is that world of intuition.
Your Sufi teacher who brought you into the world of Sufism, does he know the work that you've done on the Quran?
Yes.
Does he feel that what you've done is a moral and spiritual act to go back and to correct what has needed correction?
Yes. I talked to him before when I first began the translation, and I showed him a part of it, and he said it was excellent. So with that in mind, that's why I was able to move forward without any kind of reluctance on my part, because someone had looked at it who's a great scholar and had said, that it was good. He definitely understands and is very, supportive of the work that I do.
Why did you name the book Moral Healer's Handbook, I get, but The Psychology of Spiritual Chivalry? That's an interesting byline to it.
Right. Well, as I mentioned before, that when I was talking about why I'm not a feminist, but I'm follow spiritual chivalry, that's the spiritual warrior. The person who practices the first 2 stages of Sufism, which are the moral stages, those people are called spiritual warriors. and the Quran calls the male fatah and the female fatat. And these two words are in the Quran. So this is the whole tradition of spiritual chivalry that's part of the Quran and the whole of the Islamic tradition.
Do you think that if someone is not based in Islamic culture, that they will be able to appreciate this particular Moral Healer's Handbook, The Psychology of Spiritual Chivalry, or is it mostly for that culture of people?
No, this is universal because it has to do with personality. Very often, for instance, I came up with the idea of the interfaith Enneagram because whether we're Christian, Jew, Hindu, Buddhist, whatever we are, we're all trying to become, that's what our traditions are teaching us, is to try to become better people, better human beings, better, to follow the golden rule kind of thing. So this is all, and it's the basis of this is also in the Catholic tradition of Thomas Aquinas and the Jewish tradition of Moses Maimonides. Many of the things that I mentioned, not only in Plato, but also within the Christian theological history and the Jewish theological history, you're going to find the same concept. So we're all, instead of having interfaith dialogue where we try to talk about each other's theologies, we would have interfaith dialogue where we try to help each other develop morally and to morally heal, where we could meet in small groups and we would discuss, our traditions and how, we're trying to become fair and just people. It would be our goal. So it is something that's open to everybody. It's not specific to Islam at all.
I think there can never be enough interfaith work in the world.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And I think the traditional media tends to highlight polarity and polarizes people of all nations and backgrounds, both inadvertently and consciously, both.
Yes.
So to the extent we digest that as food for the soul, it makes it very difficult to be in the world with others.
Yes, that's very true.
Do you give lectures? Are you speaking at all? Or do you find that you have to kind of remain in Chicago?
Yeah, no, I'm not able to anymore, really. I just really kind of remain in Chicago, other than to see, go and visit my 3 children and 8 grandchildren. So I'm pretty busy just kind of trying to keep up with that. And I find I'm much better as a writer than I am as a speaker. And I'm much more introverted, and I prefer not being in front of a group of people kind of thing. Unless I want them to tell me I'm fair and just, and then I'll go.
You have a good personality, and you have the right spirit to have taken on the work that you're doing.
Oh, thank you so much.
And offering. I really appreciate you coming to the show and want to ask you if there's anything else you wish to share with us or to say.
No, I think basically we've covered everything.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have been talking to, listening to, and learning from Dr. Laleh Bakhtiar. She is the author of the Sublime Quran and also 50 other books. And you can reach her by going to lalehbakhtiar.com at LalehBakhtiar.com, or you can go to the Sublime Quran, Quran.com. Thank you so much for joining us, and I look forward to meeting you someday in the East Coast when I'm out there.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I do too.
Pleasure.